so hard for people to quit their job. If you left today, your company would move on without you. We are heading into a new decade, a new season for you to evaluate your career and take the steps needed to advance strategically. And it all starts with determining whether you should quit your job. This is one episode of a 10-part series called Should I Quit My Job that will take you through evaluating yourself, managing external impacts on your career, evaluating your current reality, and creating a plan to move forward. My name is Julia, and I am the career strategist behind the Ride the Tide Collective podcast, where we equip ambitious professionals to strategize and take action to advance their career. Welcome, everyone, to episode 6, Your Boss is Crazy. On one of the first podcast episodes I launched, it was called Managing Your Incompetent Boss. I highly recommend that you go listen to that episode because it will help lay some foundation, and I don't want to repeat what I said on that episode here. So in that episode, I give you 5 signs of an incompetent boss and 3 strategies to manage your situation. Go check it out. I will link the episode in the show notes. So how is this episode different? Well, today we're going to walk through 3 scenarios that you might encounter if you have a crazy boss, how you can manage them immediately, and whether or not it's grounds to quit your job. Our first scenario is your boss is hot and cold. In this situation, you can't read your boss's emotional state. One minute they're great, the next minute they freak out. In some cases, you might be the target of their rage, but when they are good, they are an amazing and supportive boss. This is a problem, though, because you are being emotionally impacted by their emotional swings, whether you think you are or not. Not only that, but when you become the target, it creates an extremely toxic work environment for everyone. I had a boss who talked down to a colleague and insulted their intelligence while I was in the room. While my respect and confidence in that leader was already waning, that experience solidified their inability to lead well and, frankly, their inability to be a good human. I ended up leaving that position soon after that incident. It's not your job to manage your boss's emotions, but you need to identify if this behavior is something new they are displaying, or is it something that's been around from the start? If your boss is having a hard time in their personal life, going through a major life change, or if the expectations put on them from above are stressing them out, this might be the cause of their hot and cold states. In these instances, show empathy and acknowledge that you're aware of the situation. Depending on your relationship with your boss, you might want to consider providing gentle feedback about their behavior and then ask how you can support them. For example, you could say, "I noticed that you seem withdrawn lately. Is everything okay?" Or something like, "I saw that you gave so-and-so a pretty hard time today, which is really out of character for you. How are you doing?" You want to be careful not to overstep with these questions, but sometimes people need empathy more than even they realize. Remember, if you are in an extreme, substantiated toxic situation, document your interactions, report them to HR, and get out. Listen to the first episode in this season for more details on that type of scenario. Scenario number 2. You never see your boss do any actual work and really don't understand why they have this job to begin with. Let me tell you, this is a fun situation to be in. You probably feel like you do all the work and your boss gets all the credit. You never actually see them contribute. Maybe they attend meetings all day or go on long lunches. Sometimes they're around to answer questions, but mostly they're MIA. They show up when it matters and take credit for all your hard work. Ugh, these types of managers are the worst. Now I'm going to say something that might be hard for some of you to hear who are in this scenario. You aren't the boss. Now, there are some managers who are arrogant and believe that getting to the top means vacation time and getting others to do your work for you, but that isn't always the case. A company has layers. At the top, you have your senior leadership or executive team. These people are paid for their experience, their ability to vision, problem solve, and in most cases be the face of the company or department. These people take on a great amount of risk to be in their position. These people are not going to answer phones and run numbers on a spreadsheet. They aren't writing reports and in most cases probably don't answer most of their own emails. They are paid for their brain, their image, and their experience. In the next level down, you have management. In a perfect world, these are people who manage others well, but also have the skill set to do the work, evaluate it, make sense of it, and make decisions. These positions are paid for their ability to manage others, their skill set, as well as their ability to manage projects. Often, they are known as knowledge workers, but not all knowledge workers manage others. This is still a risky position because your success is most likely dependent on others. Finally, you have the worker bees. Honestly, this is the majority of the workforce. These are the lower levels of an organization who usually do the bulk of the work. They are the ones who keep the place running and moving because they are doing the groundwork. They are the lowest risk position because they are usually hired for a specific skill set. Skills can be taught to anyone, and these positions can be easily replaced if the person in them doesn't provide enough value. Now, the type of boss I mentioned previously might look like someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and that could be a very real situation for you. However, make sure you understand what your boss's role is in the company. I had a boss who was in meetings every day, the majority of the day, because they were tasked with being the face of our department and needed to advocate within the organization for what we were doing. We didn't expect them to be in the office and run the day-to-day operations, but they also trusted us to manage the daily happenings and projects within our department. This is what it comes down to: expectations and trust. If you aren't sure what your boss's role is, start asking questions to help you understand. Don't do it all at once. You don't want them to get suspicious, but every now and then drop a question to help you get to the root of their role. For example, you could ask something like, I saw you went to lunch with so-and-so. Were you able to talk about the big project coming up? Or possibly, was the report I created helpful in your meeting yesterday? These simple questions open communication between you and your boss if it doesn't already exist. Running to the worst case scenario because you don't like them won't help anyone. Now, if this is a situation where your boss is always taking credit and not sharing the love, you need to start thinking about moving out of that role. Similarly, if you are frustrated with being a worker bee because you have bigger ideas to contribute, do the work to move into a management role where your skills will be utilized and appreciated. Scenario 3 is a tough one. Your boss shares information with you they shouldn't about coworkers, leaders, or company issues. Having a good relationship with your boss is helpful for you to move up in your company or move on with a good recommendation to another company. But there are boundaries. Your boss should never discuss other colleagues with you unless they report to you or there is an issue. If your boss is using time with you to gossip or trash talk others, it's time to get out. If you feel comfortable, mention to your boss that you don't feel comfortable talking about others in this way. Or simply ask them, how will this conversation help me accomplish XYZ? When you ask simple questions, hopefully your boss will take the hint. If it's something that continues, document the situation, report it to HR, and get out as soon as you can. If your boss is talking about others to you, they are likely talking about you to others, and you don't want that to taint your reputation. In this same vein, make sure you aren't the one gossiping either. If you have feedback, ask yourself if it's feedback that will help someone grow and be better in their position, or is it a complaint you have because you haven't taken the time to get to know them or possibly understand yourself. In our previous episode, we talked about whether or not you are the problem, and this would be a good example of you being the problem. We all have times when we think our boss is crazy, and sometimes it's real, but sometimes it's not. Everyone has a bad moment, a bad day, or even a bad season at some point in their career and their life. No one is perfect, and we can't expect that of our leaders either. For those of you who are consistently at odds with leadership, make sure you are doing the internal work to understand why. I learned very quickly the type of leader I need to report to in order to be successful. I also learned that I love management and leadership positions that are medium risk. This distinction has helped me make smart choices and ask the right questions when I'm looking for a job.